Trang, Trang. It was the third ring of my phone. My heart was pounding. I quickly picked it up. Assalamu alaikum. From the other side, she spoke in a cold voice. Where have you been these past few days? I took a deep breath. For the past few days, I've been going out to find work. But every day, I return empty-handed. There's no work. There's poverty. Even my phone had no balance. I just recharged it now. Silence. Then she said, if you can't even take care of yourself, if you can't even recharge your phone, then how will you take care of me? Where will you bring dowry from for me? Honestly, I don't really like your poor life. My heart trembled. I tried to say something, but only one "too" came out of my mouth. She cut the conversation short. Don't call me again. Find a girl suitable for yourself. Forget the past. Pretend like you never saw me. Like we never knew each other. The call ended. The breaking of a poor boy. That day, for the first time, I complained about my poverty. I was alone in my room. I cried, loudly, helplessly. Her jokes, her attitude, her laughter, the way she held my hand, the promises she made. I will always be with you. My heart refused to believe that she could say such words to me. 1 month later, a month passed. Every day, I waited. Maybe she would call. Maybe she would apologize. Maybe she would say, I only said that in anger. But nothing came. No call. No message. No sign. 6 months later, the beginning of change. 6 months passed, but she never left my heart. Day and night I worked. I began to hate poverty. I made a promise to myself. One day, I will become rich. One day, I will prove that I am not helpless. Years of waiting. Time passed, but the wound in my heart was still fresh. I buried myself in work. Every morning, I woke up before the call to prayer. Every evening, I returned home exhausted. My hands became rough from labor, but my heart remained soft. At the mention of her name, it still trembled. The new phone. One day, after a long time, I bought a new phone. I said to myself, I am no longer that poor boy. Now I can take care of myself and someone else. My hands were shaking. I dialed her number. Ring, ring. But then a message appeared. This number is switched off. I called again, 10 times, 100 times, but the answer remained the same. The empty house. Finally, I decided to go to her house. As I reached her street, my heart was beating like a child's. I knocked on the door. A neighbor came out and said, You came too late. They moved away 4 months ago. It felt like someone poured cold water over my head. I didn't stop. I went from street to street, door to door, but I found no trace of her. 2 years later, 2 years passed. In that time, I earned money. I built some wealth. People began to say, he has changed. He is successful now. But for me, success meant only one thing. To stand in front of her one day and say, Look, I am no longer poor. But she wasn't there. The truth that shattered everything. That evening, one evening, I stopped at a mosque along the road to offer my prayer. After finishing and turning my head for salam, my eyes fell on an old, tired man. I looked closely. It was her father. He had changed so much. His hair had turned white. His face had grown pale. His back slightly bent. My heart tightened with pain. I followed him, all the way to his house. From that day on, I started going to that street every single day. Sometimes I stood on one side. Sometimes I walked slowly across. Deep in my heart, there was hope. Maybe, just maybe, I will see her one day. But there was nothing. No voice. No shadow. No sign of her. Miriam's words. One day, I saw Miriam, her cousin. She knew about us, about everything. I rushed to her and said, "Miriam, how is she? Where is she?" She stayed silent for a moment. Then she said softly, "She's fine. She's happy. She got married to a wealthy man. She even has 2 children now." My heart stopped. My eyes filled with tears. I broke down. I have one wish. Just once, just from afar. I want to see her, just to see if she's truly happy or not. Miriam shook her head. "Don't ruin her life." I fell to my knees. Just one moment. Only one moment. Miriam began to cry. She sat down in the dust beside me. And then she said something that destroyed my entire world. The truth. Her eyes filled with tears. Her voice trembled. "Brother, she has gone so far away that even if you want, you can never see her again." My heart grew restless. "What do you mean? Tell me where she is. Even if the whole world stands against me, I will go." Miriam broke into tears. She placed her hand on her chest and said, "The same day she told you not to call her again, that was the day doctors gave her the answer." I froze. "What answer?" Miriam whispered. "Cancer." That word echoed in my ears like thunder. 1 month to live. Her silent sacrifice. Only 1 month. Miriam continued, her voice shaking. "The doctor said she only had 1 month to live. She didn't want you to know. She made me swear not to tell anyone." My body went numb. I couldn't breathe. Miriam looked at me and said, "That's why she insulted your poverty. So you would hate her. So you would forget her." I collapsed onto the ground. My hands trembled. No, no, this can't be true. But it was. Her reason. Miriam spoke softly. She used to say, "If that boy suffers because of me, my heart will stop even sooner." Tears streamed down her face. She wanted you to live, to grow, to succeed. Without her, I screamed. I pulled my hair. I became rich. But too late. Her final days. Miriam wiped her tears and continued. Until her last day, she kept taking your name. She used to say, "If one day he becomes successful, I hope he will be happy." My heart shattered into pieces. She said, "I must do something so that he forgets me." I couldn't stop crying. Her last wish. Miriam's voice grew even softer. On her final night, she said, "If he truly loves me, one day he will pray for me. That's enough for me." Silence. Heavy, painful silence. At her grave, Miriam took me to the graveyard. There it was. A small, simple grave. On the stone, it was written, "Chakla, the one whose smile was eternal." I fell onto her grave. I cried, loudly, uncontrollably. "Why didn't you tell me? I would have sold the world. I would have done anything for you." But there was no answer. Only silence. The prayer that came too late, but meant everything. Realization. Too late. I lay on her grave, my hands buried in the soil, as if I could pull time back. "Why didn't you tell me?" I kept repeating. But graves don't answer. They only keep secrets. Suddenly, that day came back to me. The day she said, "Don't call me again. Pretend like you never knew me." Back then, I thought it was an insult to my poverty. But today, I understood. It was the heaviest sacrifice of love. She wanted me to hate her, so my heart wouldn't break after her death. But the truth was, I didn't break because of her death. I broke because of her love. That night, that night, I returned home, surrounded by money, property, everything. But I was alone. All my wealth felt meaningless, cold, empty, lifeless. I whispered to myself, if she were here, all of this would have value. But now, they were just things, a decision. The next morning, I went back to her grave, placed my hand on it, and said, you wanted me to live, to become strong. So I will, but not just for myself anymore. That day, I made a decision. In her name, I would help poor patients, those who cannot afford treatment. If I couldn't save her, maybe I could save someone else. Years later, years passed, people began to say, he is a kind man. Every year, he helps cancer patients. But no one knew the truth. This wasn't charity. This was the offering of a broken heart. Every year, on the day she passed away, I would go to her grave, sit beside it, and whisper, see, I became rich, but you weren't there to see it. The final prayer. One evening, as the sun was setting, the sky turned red, like a wounded heart. I sat by her grave and said softly, O Allah, if you separated us in this world, then reunite us in the next, a place where there is no poverty, no illness, no helplessness. And for the first time, I cried with peace, not out of anger, not out of regret, but out of acceptance. The final lesson. Some people come into our lives, not to stay forever, but to change us. She left, but she turned me into a better man. And I learned too late. Love is not something that always stays. Love is something that, even when it leaves you a better person behind. The end.